theories of demography. So the last class we spoke about demographic transition theory as well as Malthusian theory. So I will not talk about that. Iroju, one second. I'll speak about the concepts that are existing in demography. Demography lo manaku ఏ concepts మీద emphasis చేస్తారు. I'll talk about that. So today I'll talk about the population structure as well as its composition. And apart from that, we'll discuss about what are the measures of population distribution and population change. In there, we'll look into what is population density, what is sex ratio, and what is dependency ratio. And after that, we'll talk about the measures of population change, like what are its ratios, rates, proportions, and persons. So not further ado, let me talk about what are the various population studies concepts. And what do you mean exactly by population studies? And what is the relationship between demography and population studies? Okay, as you all know that demography and population studies are often used interchangeably, and there is a vast distinction between demography and population studies. As we all know that demographic analysis is confined to a study of the component of the populations, its variation and the changes that are existing in the population. Whereas population studies are concerned not only with the population variables, but it also shows us the relationship between population changes and other variables like what is the social conditions, what are its economic conditions, what is the political scenario, what is the biological condition, genetic, geographical layouts, etc. So last class we spoke about in a broader way, in deeper way, we have discussed about demography. I will not go into deeper aspects of demography over here, but I'll just talk about the different relationship between population studies and with other disciplines. Like, you know, when we talk about population studies, population is something talks about the people, is it? Talks about the people. The people have something to do from the biology. So population study has its relationship with biology. So when you talk about biology or its relationship, this population study speaks about the fertility. You know, it talks the study of fertility provides a good illustration of the relationship between population and biology. So it is a biologically fact that only females can give birth to children, and that too only during certain age span. And similarly, in the study of mortality, it is known that the age and sex differentials are biologically determined. As you all know, age and sex are biologically determined. Even the sex ratio among the newborn is biologically determined. So population genetics have seen an important area of specialization. Okay, and the knowledge of reproduction, whether it is related to fertility, whether it is related to mortality or the reproductive physiology, are coming under the area of biology. So there is a lot of relationship between population study and biology. Without biological interference, we cannot study about the population. So there is an effective regulation of fertility through improvement in contraceptive techniques, which has been the contribution of applied research workers. Yesterday in the newspaper, I was looking about freezing of eggs. Like, you know, many women, those who are divorced or separated or, you know, not got married, you know, they're freezing their eggs so that they can have their child at whenever they need. You know, yesterday I didn't read the whole article here, but I happened to see this aspect, which is existing in the present society. So it is also a well-known fact that the advances in the medical sciences and the adoption of widespread public health measures have been, you know, responsible for the declining mortality rate in the countries like India, irrespective of the levels of development in these countries. Apart from that, there's a relationship between population studies and biology. There is also a relationship between population studies and mathematics and statistics. As we all know that the sex ratio of India, like 2011 sex ratio, it is 941 per 1,000 females. If you look about the sex ratio of 2021, we don't have any census figures over here, statistics figure, but what you can see, tentative figures have been given to us. Like, you know, the female ratio has increased. It is not less than males. It is somewhere 1,005 per 1,000 males. So this is figure we have about the sex ratio. The female ratio, the women ratio has been increased. Females have increased comparative to men, if you look at the present figures. So the quantification is an important element in population studies, as population data are available in a discrete as well as in a quantifiable term. Okay, so mathematics and statistics is very much to do with the population studies. So the relationship of population studies with mathematics assumes great importance, and the study of population size, growth, structure, and the component is entirely done with the help of mathematics. So yes, there is a relationship between population studies and mathematics. And the population experts have attempted to build various mathematical models regarding population growth. And as you know, that mathematics is a very important tool in understanding the population phenomena. Okay, so mathematics as well as statistics. Okay, population also depend on statistics as a tool, because the development of statistics, which it has fostered the development of demography in the 20th century or the late 21st century, we can say. So the theory of probability has been extremely useful for an analysis of mortality or fertility, whatever we can say. So mathematics and statistics play a very important role, whereas population studies have been concerned. Apart from that, population studies also have some relationship with the social and behavioral sciences. See, till recently, population studies were generally regarded as a branch of sociology or economics or even geography. Okay. Yes, we as sociologists also study about social demography, because social study about society. It has very much to know, very much interested in knowing about the population studies. It has been seen as a branch of sociology or economics or geography. But most of the variables and the theories which explain demographic phenomena, it has been originated in the social sciences. So the theory of demographic transition, which we discussed last class, is based on an understanding of the disciplines like economics, sociology.
Chapter madam.
Yes, Nana?
Which chapter, madam?
I'm talking about population studies. నా దగ్గర టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లేదు, ఒక టాపిక్ ఉందని చూడండి, పాపులేషన్ స్టడీస్ టాపిక్ ఉంది చూడండి, ఉందా? ఇట్ ఈస్ దేర్, ఇట్ ఈస్ దేర్ నాన్న, ఇట్ ఈస్ దేర్. అదే చెప్తున్నా, అది ఇంపార్టెంట్ టాపిక్ కాబట్టి చెప్తున్నా.
సరే మేడం.
ఎస్ నాన్న. Okay, so ఇక్కడ ఉన్నాను నేను, ఇక్కడ what I was talking about the relationship of sociology with the population study with the behavioral sciences as well as social sciences. So the theory of demographic transition, which is based on an understanding of other disciplines like economics, sociology, political science, or psychology, anthropology, geography, there is some kind of a relationship being drawn between population studies and the other social sciences as well. See, for example, the fertility theories are based on biology, sociology, and economics. Okay, and the changes in the birth rate cannot be explained as an independent phenomenon. Rather than their explanation have to be sought in the changing economic, social, cultural, psychological aspects, even the political aspect as well. Okay, I mean, if you look in the trends in mortality, they are also related to the socio-economic factors. More of poverty, more of deaths. Okay, so you can relate it to that. So in recent times, another dimension has been added to the study of population, that is demographic questions such as those related to fertility regulations. They have been examined with reference to humanistic issues like human rights and the status of women. Okay, so fertility regulations, how many children women should have, when she cannot go for, if she wants to go for abortion, there are some rules are there, she has to follow that, as well as related to the status of women. Okay, even the governments are taking measures to see that, some measures have been given to the women, like pregnant women or lactating women. For example, we talk about Telangana government, it gives KCR kit and other measures. If a girl child is born, they give some money. If a boy child is born, there's some amount is being given. So some kind of references will be certainly there from the humanistic issues like human rights as well as the status of women. So there is some kind of relation. Now coming back to population studies and sociology, like why sociology there is a relation. There is a strong combination. It is a combination of demographic and sociological studies. For example, fertility. Fertility in connection with attitudes and social institutions. Like there is something like fertility law, social institutions chala important. For example, Muslims, if you take it too, They go for n number. They forgot as many children they want to like. They don't stop. They won't go for family planning. Okay, it is something to related to the religious institution. But Hindus, they only go for 2 children, or depends upon, again, they want to go for a boy. Unless they have a boy child, they go on giving birth to the children. There is something to connected with the attitudes of the people. People are not confining to only a girl child. They want a boy child. So they go on giving birth, even Hindus. Muslims mein aisa kuch nahi. Muslims, they say that, jitne paida hona hai, utne paida hone do. Okay. So population changes in relation to social and economic change. The labor force with respect to population structure and social organization. There is a relationship with family. The family with regard to demographic behavior, international as well as internal migration, are two other areas of studies mentioned by one person called as Davis and Moore, where a knowledge of sociology and demography need to be combined. Because, the study of mortality or the age and sex differentials, though biologically determined, may have sociological base and therefore need to be recognized as such. Okay. Next, psychology, because there is also a relationship between population studies and psychology, because several questions related to family planning or fertility regulations can be answered only when the reproductive behavior of individual is understood in the context of social standards and the cultural norms. For instance, some questions which are often asked, like, what is the family size norm in a community? And how is it determined? Is it possible to modify the norm by stimulating the planned change? Okay. Even in the field of mortality, like utilization patterns of healthcare services can be understood only when, individual behavior is explored and the relevant social norms are studied. Even in migration as well, movement of people from rural areas to urban areas can also be studied only by understanding the motivation behind such migration. So it is something which is related to psychological aspect. To have children, to not to have children, to keep the family small, to expand your family. It's all depending upon the social psychology or psychological aspect of a person. Even the mortality also. Lakshman in class తీసుకుంటున్నా. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. So this is how population studies are related to psychology. And coming back to population studies and economics, I'll quickly finish up this now. See, economy also again. Fertility or economy of mortality, it all depends upon the economic structure. And the study of population is an important area of investigation in the fields of economics as well, especially since problems of economic development and development planning have come to the forefront in most developing countries. So in order to get a better understanding of the relationship between population trends and economic growth, there are various topics which are being discussed by economics as well as the population studies. Like, for example, population and development. We can talk about what are the economics of fertility. It talks about demographic distribution of population. Okay, all these things comes under the studies of economics. So there is a relationship between population and economics. Another thing, coming back to population studies and geography, like students of population studies are usually interested in the geographical distribution of population and its movements between rural and urban areas. So migration is one of the factors. See, people are moving from rural areas to urban areas, and the geographers who are interested in geography, not only as an academics, also as a geographical point of view, try to understand the whole thing, that it is like understand the various issues the world is facing or the societies are facing. For example, rapid population growth. Okay, what is the impact? If the population is growing at a larger level, what is the impact upon the earth? What is the impact upon the what are the impact in the sense, urbanization? What is the race relationships? Okay, these things, it is the interest point of the geographers. Coming back to population studies and law, I think this is very important over here because law has also something to do with the population studies, because the interrelationship between population and law becomes, it's an attempt to study what the present and the future laws of any country can do to solve the problem of overpopulation. See, what would the plight of India, like, what measures are be taken by the Indian government to combat the problems of population? I think it is drastically increasing day by day. And, now we stand in the world in number one, okay? In the population explosion is rapidly taking place. What are the measures that be taken up? So here it has been pointed out that, population laws may be defined as a body of laws, which relates directly and indirectly to the three basic demographic variables of mortality, fertility, and migration. As I said in the first class as well, these are the three very important things which demographers, all the population studies people, on the law as well, are interested at. So, what I can say, see, population laws we talk about, could therefore relate to public health and sanitation. So, nutrition aspect, okay, food preparation, distribution. For example, we know that, most of the government schools, the Akshara Foundation is providing food. Food is being provided to the children of the children those are studying in government schools. So food preparation, food distribution, sale, availability of drugs, pharmaceuticals, clinics, hospitals, okay, medical programs, medical personals, age at marriage, okay, child marriage again, okay, fertility, child care, and all aspects of education, and the role of families, as well as the role of women, as well as the status of women. All these are been studied by law in relation to the population studies. As we all know that, one example I can just tell you that, the Indian Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act 1972, which has been induced, which has made induced abortion fairly easy. Okay, so it is an act. It is an act which has been passed in the year 1972. Okay, so this is all about the relationship of population studies with the other disciplines. Okay, now let us talk about the population distribution. So here, the population distribution talks about the distribution of the population from the age point of view, from the sex point of view. Okay, so in any demography or population study, the concern is not only about finding out how many people live in a particular area at a particular time, but also about the number is larger than what it was and what is likely to be in the future, and what are its effects, etc. So such facts are needed for most of the industrialists or policymakers, particularly those concerned with the providing social utility services like education, medical aid, as well as for the legislators and social scientists. It is a major concern. So it is with the help of the figures, that the government and the planners can develop their future plans. They can develop the strategies. They can have their expansion activities. So it is again after getting this actual and estimated data that production for consumers or goods can accordingly be made. So a demographer also likes to find out the extent of changes. He is also required to find out the causes of such changes, like the changes in the birth or the death or the migration or the poor medical and other facilities, lack of awareness among the masses about their health, all these things. Okay. So when coming back to the population distribution with regard to the size, if you look into, see, no state, for example, you talk about India as such, the population is not the same in every state. Okay. For example, in Uttar Pradesh, the population is more compared to the population in, one second. Compared to the population in Tripura or Meghalaya or Goa or anything like that. So if we look at the population of Goa, it is 1 lakh. It is 14 lakh, 14 lakh population. But if we talk about Uttar Pradesh, it is 19 crores. Just imagine so much a disparity in population. So Uttar Pradesh, where the population is 16.49% of the total population of our country. When you compare to Goa, I'm making a comparison over here. It is only 0.16%. If you come again to Chandigarh, it is 0.09. Delhi, it is 1 point, unit territories we can talk about. Sikkim, it is only 0.05. Okay, Mizoram, it is 0.09%. This is a distribution of population. Which states, like states like Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Bihar, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh. I'm talking about, Andhra Pradesh, not Telangana, Patkona, Telangana alane vastundi. I don't have the distributed figures of separate Telangana, but you may get it. Madhya Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, no, here in these states, the population is very much. Ekku undi. Jada ekku ante Uttar Pradesh lo undi. Okay. So accordingly, their particular state governments had to take measures to look up the needs of their population. Okay. So largest cities, if we talk about, you know what are the largest cities in India. The largest cities in India could be Mumbai or Delhi, Bangalore, Calcutta. I don't know which place Hyderabad stands. I don't know, but Hyderabad is not that largest city compared to all these cities which I have said. But there are other cities as well, who are standing lower than Hyderabad. Like, we talk about Nagpur. It is, it is very much less population comparative to Hyderabad. Okay, so distribution of populations, which cities are larger? So this is about the distribution of population, in which states the population is vested more, and accordingly the measures taken up by the government, respective governments. And if we talk about the distribution of population over the period and time and space, like data on the size of population at a particular point of time provide us a very little information. We don't have exact figures like 19 independence tarvata enta population undi untundochu, like మీరు టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ ఓపెన్ చేసి చూస్తే మనకి ఎందుకంటే సెన్సస్ మనకి every 10 years కి సెన్సస్ ఉంటుంది. సో మన దగ్గర ఇప్పటి వరకు అయితే 2011 వరకు అయితే సెన్సస్ ఫిగర్స్ కరెక్ట్ గా ఉన్నాయి. సెన్సస్ మీరు చూస్తే ఎవ్రీ ఇయర్ లైక్ 1901 నుంచి మనకి సెన్సస్ స్టడీస్ జరుగుతా ఉన్నాయి. అప్పుడు 1901 లో మనకి ఎంత పాపులేషన్ ఉంది, ఇప్పుడు ఎంత పాపులేషన్ ఉంది. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ 2011 లో మనకి ఎంత పాపులేషన్ ఉంది, ఇప్పుడు ఎంత ఉంది. యూ క్యాన్ జస్ట్ లుక్ ఎట్ ద ఫిగర్స్. I think in 2021, 2011 we have a census. In 2021, because of COVID and other thing, we don't have this. The work is going on. We don't have the exact figures with us. So looking at this, we can make out ki 19 independence tarvata enta ochindi, enta undi population, and independence in the span of so many years, like 75 years of independence vache varaku manaki enta population perigindi, daniki కారణాలు ఏంటి, okay, the measures ఏం తీసుకోవాలి అన్ని మనము ఈ పాపులేషన్ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ లో మనకి పాపులేషన్ గ్రోత్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా ఫిగర్స్ లో మనకు తెలిసిపోతుంది. మీరు ఒక్కసారి ఫిగర్స్ చూసుకోండి, మీకు ఇంపార్టెంట్ క్వశ్చన్ లో వస్తుండొచ్చు. అది గ్రోత్ ఎక్కువ ఉందా తగ్గుతుందా, ఎందుకంటే మనము పాపులేషన్ చూసుకుంటే 1901 నుంచి చూసుకుంటే, లేకపోతే ఇండిపెండెన్స్ తర్వాత చూస్తుంటే 1941 లో పాపులేషన్, ఇంకా 1951 లో పాపులేషన్ చూస్తే 51 లో తగ్గింది 41 కొద్ది. It was decrease in the population. Antaru, I don't know the figures, but as I know, I'm telling. Then if we come to again 1921 kavachu, 1970 koncham famines aveni jaragadam valla konni years lo like 2000 1991 lo ఆ పాపులేషన్ ఫిగర్స్ కంపేర్ చేసుకోండి. ఏ ఇయర్ లో పెరిగినాయి, ఏ ఇయర్ లో తగ్గినాయి ఒకసారి చూసుకోండి. అది నేను చెప్పట్లేను ఫిగర్స్. ఓకే, ఒక్కొక్కసారి వర్షాలు పడి లేకపోతే ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ ఒక చిన్న ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఏంటంటే డ్యూరింగ్ 1911 చెప్తాను, కానీ ఈ మాల్థూసియన్ థియరీస్ చదివితే మీకు అర్థమవుతుంది. 1911 1921 చూస్తే there's a phenomenal decrease in population of India. Maybe there's a fluctuation in the population growth in the preceding periods because maybe because of the unfavorable natural conditions kavachu, unfavorable agricultural conditions kavachu, wars kavachu, First World War, okay, any aspect, it has an impact upon the population. Okay, so not going into deeper on this. So figures ఒకసారి మీ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో ఉంటుంది, ఒక్కసారి దాన్ని మీరు తిరిగేసేసుకోండి. ఓకే, నౌ Apart from that, what I said is I'll just discuss about the population structure and its composition. What is the composition of the population, like age composition, sex composition? So population structure or composition covers all the measurable characteristics of given population. So the universal characteristics of any population, any geographical area, ekkadanna kaani, ikkada India kaani, wherever countries kaani, ekkadanna miru, whether it is American society, whether it is Indian society, these things are universal. Universal when you're talking about the composition of the population. So they are like age, sex, and sex taken together. So specifically, age and sex, ఒక్కొక్కసారి combination లో తీసుకుంటారు. And these characteristic components determine the structure of the given population. And it is also universally accepted that the composition of a given population varies with change in its fertility, mortality, and net migration. Okay, so this demographic process affect the basic characteristics of the population, namely age, sex, which again has a greater impact upon the change in the composition or the structure of population. Now let us look at the age compositions. What are the factors which are influencing the age? For example, significance of age structure, if you look into, there is a fundamental relationship between age composition of population of a country and other components of the population. There are changes taking place. For example, the schedules of nuptiality, fertility, mortality, and migration shape the distribution of population by age and are in turn affected by it. So age distribution can be used for inferring the vital rates. For example, age distribution of country also has a socio-economic significance. For example, if I say India is the most populated country. What is the, we say India is a young country, we can say. See, what is the population? Young population is more, but dependency population is more. Young population is more. Young population more on Valla, India develop kada. They are dependent upon the middle-aged population. Even older population is also more. The dependency ratio is more on our country. Okay, so idi chudandi meeru. So level of consumption, సంపాదించే వాళ్ళు ఎంత ఉన్నారు, ఎంతమంది తినేవాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు, ఎంతమంది డిపెండెంట్ ఉన్నారు, ఓకే, సర్వీస్ సెక్టర్ ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు, పార్టిసిపేషన్ ప్రొడక్టివ్ యాక్టివిటీస్ ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు, ఓకే, reproduction process ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు. ఆల్ దీస్ ఆస్పెక్ట్స్ ఆర్ విచ్ ఆర్ అగైన్ సరౌండెడ్ బై లైఫ్. ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ పిల్లలు ఎక్కువ ఉన్నప్పటికీ వాళ్ళు చదువుతా ఉంటారు, ఒక 27-28 వరకు చదువుతా ఉంటారు, వాళ్ళు సంపాదించరు. సో ఎకనామిక్ లో ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతుంది. సంపాదించే తెలివి investing the mind and labor ఎంతమంది ఉన్నారు. సో డిపెండెన్సీ పాపులేషన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది మన దగ్గర. ఎంత యంగ్ కంట్రీ ఉన్నప్పటికీ డిపెండెన్సీ పాపులేషన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంది. సో ద పాపులేషన్ పిరమిడ్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా ఈస్ బ్రాడ్ బేస్డ్ and it conforms to a population of an underdeveloped country. As opposed to this, the age pyramid of a developed country has narrow base. చూడండి, ఏజ్ పిరమిడ్ మీరు చూస్తే developed country like Canada has a narrow base where a small number of children are born, but they live longer. Some important features of Indian population, like, you look into under enumeration of children at young age, especially in the age of 0 to 4, has a recognized feature of the Indian census. So gradually, in the recent census, this feature has changed. Okay. Due to improvement in the enumeration of younger population, an increase in the fertility and decrease in mortality, there has been a rise in proportion of the population below age 50. So it has greater social, economic, and demographic relevance, such as young population necessities more allocation of funds. Getting my point? They require more number of funds to provide for his health or medical or educational and consumption needs. So such an age structure dominated by young population also favors a very rapid population increase, which we are experiencing now. Okay, so that's what is happening now. So dependency ratio, the ratio of non-workers to workers is high, in which the contribution of children under 15 years of age is overwhelming and implies less per capita income, if not per worker produced directly. So it also affects the productivity of labor, and it reduces the national income after deducting the high investment needs for satisfying the immediate needs of the younger population. So though India is a young country, we say, but the dependency ratio is much, much more, which is a burden on the people, on the policymakers and on the government. Okay. So large base of the population means persisting high natural increase, at least in absolute number. Okay. So this is one aspect. And the factors which determine the age structure of population, like, fertility, as I said, fertility, mortality are major cause of the growth rate of any population and also responsible for determining its age structure. The growth rate is mathematically determined by level of fertility, mortality, and migration. And the age structure of various population of the world, like, age structure, different population are usually compared in terms of 3 broad age groups, like working age 15 to 64. Children below the working age, that is below 15. And persons above the working age, that is above 64. So మన దగ్గర ఎట్లుందంటే 15 to 64 వర్కింగ్ ఏజ్ అంటే తక్కువ ఉన్నారు మనకి 15 years తక్కువ ఉన్నారు మనకి బిలో 15 years 30 years దాకా. So according to the persons are identified with particular group, as a developed countries have a much lower proportion of population consisting of dependent children. Okay, ఇది అర్థం చేసుకోండి. As the developed countries have much lower proportion of population consisting of dependent children, their overall dependency ratios are also smaller values than those in developing countries like India. So yeah, this is how we can say which country is developed and which country is developing. And because we are still in the developing stage, I don't know when we are going to reach the stage of development. And the analysis of age structure, age data are usually uniform, available in the form of single years. Like, it's like age data are seldom used in discrete form. Like, it is customary to classify them in 5 years age groups as 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 9. That మనం the closed intervals, class intervals లో మనకి చేస్తాము. The age data thus classified in mutually exclusive age groups are used for analysis of the age structure of any population. So this is one aspect. And so this is about the distribution of the population. I won't go into detail about it over here. Let us look at the sex composition. Okay, now what is sex composition? Sex is an essential characteristics and its dichotomous nature presents few problems for classification. As you all know, two sex, male and female. So the data on sex are also easily available to us, and for the study of sex structure of any population, the following 2 measures are generally adopted. That is, the percentage of males in the population or masculinity proportion and the sex ratio. Of these 2 measures, the data is more frequently used. Sex ratio, అది చెప్పాను మీకు 2011 census prakaram, it is 941 per 1,000 females. Our recent figures shows that it is 1,004 or 1,005 per 1,000 males. So there is a disparity is been seen. You can check it out. Okay. So now age and sex structure, which is called as a population pyramid and its implication. The study of population structure by age and sex taken together give us better understanding of population structure than is studied by taking age or sex only. Separate గా తీసుకుంటే కరెక్ట్ గా మనకి పాపులేషన్ పిరమిడ్ పాపులేషన్ ఇంప్లికేషన్ తెలియదు, అందుకనే ముందు కలిపి చెప్పాలి. సో సెక్స్ అండ్ ఏజ్ స్ట్రక్చర్ చూస్తే సెక్స్ అండ్ ఏజ్ ఆర్ ద బేసిక్ క్యారెక్టరిస్టిక్స్ the biological attributes of any population, which affect not only its demographic structure, but also the social, economic, and political structures. So they influence first we can say, birth, marriage, death rates, internal and international migration, population composition, manpower, gross national income or product, we can say, planning regarding housing, educational, medical services, and so on, so on. Okay, so you have these figures in your textbook, just kindly go through it. So population data are invariably classified by sex and age and then made available to the data users. So all data related to fertility, mortality, migration, marital status, or the economic address are first presented separately for females and males and are cross-classified according to age. The sex and age are very important because they are the visible, indisputable, and very clear and convenient indicators of social status. Is it clear? So when you talk about population pyramid and its implication, so the impact of population structure in the form of population pyramid is that it is widely used graphical device to show the age sex composition of a population. So మీకు ఈ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో మీకు ఫిగర్ చెప్తాను ఒక్కొక్కటి నేను మీద ఒక స్లైడ్ చూపిస్తాను మీకు 1 second I'll show you the slide if it is possible I'll show you the slide ఒకసారి చెక్ చేయండి పాపులేషన్ పిరమిడ్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది ఈ షేర్ స్క్రీన్ చేస్తాను మీకు నేను మీకు కనిపిస్తుందా పాపులేషన్ పిరమిడ్ హలో
Yes, ma'am.
ఇది పాపులేషన్ పిరమిడ్ మీ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో ఉంటుందమ్మా ఇది see how the population పెరుగుతుంది కింద ఎక్కువ యంగ్ పాపులేషన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటుంది ఇక్కడ ఇటు సైడ్ ఏమో మేల్ ఇటు సైడ్ ఏమో ఫీమేల్ సో మనదేమో ఇట్టనే ఉంటుంది ఓకే ఇది ఇయర్ వైజ్ 1901 నుంచి ఇది మనది కాదు ఇది మీరు మీకు చూపించేది యునైటెడ్ స్టేట్స్ చూపిస్తున్నా మన దగ్గరది కాదు యునైటెడ్ కింగ్డమ్ అనుకుంటే ఇది కిందిది సో ఓల్డ్ పాపులేషన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటారు వాళ్ళ దగ్గర మన దగ్గర యంగ్ పాపులేషన్ ఎక్కువ ఉంటారు ఓకే ఇది ఒక్కటి మీరు టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో మీ దగ్గర ఈ ఫిగర్ ఉంటే మీరు ఒకసారి చూసుకోండి మీరు డ్రా కూడా చేయొచ్చు ఇది ఓకే okay what I want to tell you is that population pyramid is widely used graphical device which shows us the age sex composition of a population so it consists of number of horizontal bars inta chepparu kada kinda ekku takku horizontal bars representing successive age groups in ascending order ante ascending order ante takku nunchi ekku varaku from the lowest age at bottom to the highest age at top so మన దగ్గర ఎట్లుందంటే కోన్ లాగానే ఉంటది ఎట్లా అంటే మనకు లోవెస్ట్ ఏజ్ ద బాటమ్ అంటే కింద బాటమ్ పెద్దగా ఉంటుంది ఒక ట్రయాంగిల్ లాగా ఉంటుంది కింద పెద్దగా ఉంటుంది పైకి వచ్చేసరికి తక్కువ ఉంటుంది ముసలి వాళ్ళు కూడా ఉన్నారు ఎక్కువ సో లెంత్ మనకు మనమే అర్థం చేసుకోవాలి ఎట్లా మన పిరమిడ్ ఎలా ఉంటుంది అనేసి so length of a bar for any age group represents a number or percentage of males and females in that age group according to a scale along the horizontal axis so pyramid can be made either way in age group of width of 5 or 10 year or a single year in any case the highest bar refers to an open age interval say 80 years and above okay so మీరు ఒకసారి టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో పిరమిడ్ కూడా ఒకసారి చూసుకోండి వాళ్ళు మన అంబేద్కర్ బుక్ లో వాళ్ళు అనుకుంటా మీ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ ఓపెన్ చేసి చూస్తే ఏది ఇచ్చారు ఇండియాది ఇచ్చారా లేకపోతే యునైటెడ్ కింగ్డమ్స్ ఇచ్చారా చైనాది ఇచ్చారా చూడండి ఒకసారి ఓకే ఈ కాంపోజిషన్ మీరు ఖచ్చితంగా చదవండి ఇట్స్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ మీరు ఒకటి ఫిగర్ లో మీకు ఇండియా ఇంకా ఫిలిప్పీన్స్ ఉంది ఇది ఒకటి మీకు చూపిస్తే దాంట్లో అందులో ఏముందంటే పిరమిడ్ అది ఇండియా కూడా డెవలపింగ్ కంట్రీయే యాజ్ వెల్ యాజ్ ఫిలిప్పీన్స్ కూడా డెవలపింగ్ కంట్రీయే అక్కడ ఎట్లుందంటే ద పిరమిడ్స్ ఆఫ్ దిస్ కంట్రీస్ హ్యావ్ బ్రాడ్ బేస్ అండ్ స్టీప్లీ స్లోపింగ్ స్లైడ్స్ ఇండికేటింగ్ అ లార్జ్ ప్రపోర్షన్ ఆఫ్ చిల్డ్రన్ and young persons and a small proportion of old people in the population so మనది ఏంటి ఒక ట్రయాంగిల్ షేప్ లో వస్తుంది ఇంకో కింద యునైటెడ్ కింగ్డమ్ చూపించాను కదా అది ఆల్మోస్ట్ అట్లా రెక్టాంగులర్ షేప్ లో వస్తుంది అంటే ట్రయాంగిల్ లాగా వస్తలేదు అది ఒక రెక్టాంగిల్ షేప్ లాగా వస్తుంది అంటే విత్ స్లైడింగ్ స్లోప్ అట్ ద ఓల్డర్ ఏజ్ అంటే ఓల్డ్ పాపులేషన్ ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ లెట్ మీ టెల్ యూ యునైటెడ్ కింగ్డమ్స్ ఇఫ్ యూ సీ ద ఓల్డర్ పాపులేషన్ ఇస్ మోర్ అండ్ ద చిల్డ్రన్ ఆర్ లెస్ ఈక్వల్ గా అయిపోతున్నారు వాళ్ళు ఓకే మీరు ఇంకొకటి ఏం చెప్పాలంటే ఇఫ్ టాక్ అబౌట్ ది physically challenged people in India, total population physically challenged people in our country చూస్తే it is equal to the total population of Australia. Just imagine, flight of India. Okay, even the physically challenged people are also more. The whole total population of Australia is equal to the total population of physically challenged in our country. See, how much of trouble we are like. So much of population explosion. So those population which have a higher proportion of children and young persons are termed as young population, young population while those with lower proportion of children and youth and a higher proportion of adult and old population known as old population. So it is theory. Therefore, I'm not going to observe that old countries in the sense of having long history, such as India, Egypt, and China, have very young population, while compared to young countries like United Kingdom, France, United States, have old population. So thus it must be clearly understood that there is a distinction between the chronological age of a nation, which is measured from time of a country's inception, and the age of the population, that is the age distribution of the population. Similarly, the distinction between age of an individual in the population and the age of the population must also be kept in mind. Age of an individual in the population and age of the population. So like, that is, the age of an individual moves only in one direction, that of inexorable increase as time passes. The population may get older or younger as time passes, in the sense that the proportion of different age groups may undergo changes with the passage of time. Okay. Now, last part of the chinnaga cheppesi close chestanu. What are the measures of population distribution and population change? What are the measures? If you talk about the measures of population distribution or its composition, many pertaining to population density, how densely it is distributed, sex ratio under distribution by males and females, and dependency ratio. Ivanni manam chuddam. What is population density? Population density ante enti? Ee meeku short question lo ravachu. Population density ante density of population in an area is usually computed as a number of persons per square kilometer or per square mile of land area. Population density calculated as density of population is an area is usually computed as number of person per square kilometer. This is good. Per person square, per number of person per square kilometer. So, see, as you all know, and I think sometimes I feel it is misleading index for us, because all the population distribution is not the same everywhere. It is not uniformly distributed. It is not uniformly inhabited. For example, the density of population proportion living in Madhya Pradesh or in Rajasthan, if you look, it is much less than those in Kerala and West Bengal. Density takku undi akkada. Kerala lo ekku, West Bengal lo ekku untundi. So the densities of urban areas are much higher than the densities of rural areas. This is clearly confused. So countries with vast areas under desert kavachu, mountains kavachu, forest kavachu, ice caps kavachu, have low densities, okay, of population. So the most thinly settled countries are those in the places like near the Antarctica Circle. Desert areas are the Kondor population. Mountain areas are the Kondor population. Okay. For example, we talk about density chuskunte 819 people per square kilometer. Kerala chuskunte. Ade manamu Delhi chuste 9,294 per square kilometer. So just look at the disparity. Delhi chuste 9,294 per square kilometer undi. Ade Kerala chuste 819 undi. Ade malla Uttar Pradesh enta mundu em cheppanu. Uttar Pradesh lo highest population undi. కాకపోతే డెన్సిటీ పాపులేషన్ డెన్సిటీ పరంగా చూస్తే ఉత్తరప్రదేశ్ ఉంది 689 per square kilometer ఉంది. అంటే ఏరియా పెద్దగా ఉండొచ్చు ఉత్తరప్రదేశ్. అర్థమైందా? ఏరియా పెద్దగా ఉండడం వల్ల పాపులేషన్ డెన్సిటీ డిస్ట్రిబ్యూషన్ తక్కువ ఉంది అక్కడ. సో 618 ల్యాండ్ ఏరియా కవర్ చేసేది 689 people per square kilometer. అదే మళ్ళీ ఢిల్లీలో చాలా ఎక్కువ ఉంది. వెస్ట్ బెంగాల్ కూడా ఎక్కువ ఎక్కడెక్కడ ఉందంటే చండీగఢ్ లో కూడా చిన్న సిటీస్ ఉండొచ్చు, అవి ఎక్కువ ఉన్నాయి. మహారాష్ట్రలో చూస్తే మనకి ఇంకా తక్కువ ఉంది, 314 ఉంది per square kilometer. ఓకే, ఒక్కసారి ఫిగర్స్ మీ దగ్గర ఉంటాయి, మీ టెక్స్ట్ బుక్ లో ఒకసారి చూసుకోండి అమ్మా. సో the another measure of density which relates to the ratio between requirement of a population and the resources కూడా అవసరం కదా మనకి, made available to it by production in the area it occupies. Density is equal to NK by SK. ఇది గుర్తుపెట్టుకోండి, NK by SK. Density, population density is equal to, నేను ఇవ్వలేను, one person called as Barclay, he has given this. It is NK by SK. N అంటే total population, K అంటే the quantity of requirement per capita, S ante area in square kilometers, K ante the quantity of resources produced per square kilometer. K ante enti the resources produced per square kilometer. S ante area in square kilometer, K ante the quantity of requirement per capita, N ante total population. This is population density. Now, sex ratio. Sex ratios are the measures of the composition of either sex of the given population, like masculinity proportion ante entante. The simplest measure of sex composition of a population is the masculinity ratio, defined as a percentage of males in the population. I like calculation of masculinity population calculation ante PM by PM plus PF into 100. లేకపోతే PM by PI into 100 చేయొచ్చు. PM and PF అంటే denotes the population of females and males, okay, respectively. PM అంటే males and PG denotes the total population. సో ఎలా సెక్స్ రేషియో ఎలా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేస్తారంటే మీరు ఈజీగా క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసుకోవాలంటే PM per population of males divided by population total population into 100, okay. ఇంకొకటి అది masculine proportion. సెక్స్ రేషియో ఇంకొకటి ఎట్లుందంటే ఇంతకు ముందు చెప్పాను మీకు, దిస్ ఇస్ ద మోస్ట్ వైడ్లీ యూజ్డ్ అండ్ ప్రిన్సిపల్ మెజర్ ఆఫ్ సెక్స్ కంపోజిషన్ దట్ ఎంజాయ్ ద మాక్సిమం use in analytic demography. It is usually defined as number of females per 1000 males in a population. That is, sex ratio is equal to total population FPF by PM into 1000. Arvind, number of females by number of females into 1000. Okay. But such demographers uses sex ratio is equal to PM by PM as well. Its number is males per 1000 females. Males per females per 1000. Okay, 941 per. Okay, yeah. So it's obviously directly related to masculine proportion. The point of balance of sexes are the two measures, that is masculine proportion sex ratio are 50 and 1000. It means a masculine proportions of less than 50 indicates excess of females than males, and if it is more than 50, it indicates excess of males. Similarly, a sex ratio more than 1000 depicts the excess of females over males, and a sex ratio below 1000 indicates an excess of males. Therefore, equal. The sex ratio can be calculated for various brackets of the population, and it is very optimally done in our country. For example, the chinna example chepta chudandi. 1971 మీరు చూసుకుంటే population of males ఎంత ఉంది చూడండి, population of females ఎంత ఉంది చూడండి. Masculinity proportion తీయండి, ఇక్కడ PM తీసుకోండి, population of males by PM plus PF into 1000. అక్కడ ఎంత వస్తుంది? 51.82 వస్తుంది my proportion. అదే సెక్స్ రేషియో చేయాలంటే PF females by males into 1000 అంటే 929. So మన సెక్స్ రేషియో in 1971 was 929 per 1000 males. The female proportion was 928 females by 1000 males. చూడండి, it was 929. They were lesser, so much of 70%, 929 అంటే 70, 9000 కి 70 తక్కువ ఉన్నారు. ఇట్ ఇస్ నాట్ ఈక్వల్. ఇప్పుడు పెరిగారు, ఇప్పుడు కొంచెం ఇప్పుడు క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసుకోండి. ఇప్పుడు ఎంత సెక్స్ రేషియో మనకి ఎంత వస్తుంది చూడండి ఇప్పుడు. ఓకే, దిస్ ఈస్ ఆల్ అబౌట్ ద మెజర్స్. ఐఎమ్ నాట్ ఇంకొకటి డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో అంటే ఏంటి చూడండి. డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో మన దగ్గర నేను చెప్పాను ఇంతకు ముందు, డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ఎక్కువ ఉంది మన దగ్గర. సో అనదర్ ఆస్పెక్ట్ ఆఫ్ పాపులేషన్ కంపోజిషన్ ఇస్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో. డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ఇస్ మెజర్డ్ as follows. లైక్ డిపెండెన్సీ ఇస్ ఈక్వల్ టు P అంటే పాపులేషన్ 0 to 14 years వస్తుంది పిల్లలు, ప్లస్ P 60+ old age population, okay, divided by P 15 to 59 population total. So 0 to 40, 0 to 60+ plus 0, the population, the age group of 0 to 40, 60+ and 15 respectively, into K cheyali danni ante total K is equal to 100. So if a country has మీరు క్యాల్కులేట్ చేసుకోండి, యంగ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ఎంత ఉంది, ఓల్డ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ఎంత ఉంది, టోటల్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ఎంత ఉంది, ఇవన్నీ మీరు చూసుకోండి. టోటల్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ఇస్ ఈక్వల్ టు యంగ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ప్లస్ ఓల్డ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో. అది మీరు క్యాలిక్యులేషన్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, ఫర్ ఎగ్జాంపుల్ యంగ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియోలో ఒక ఫిగర్ తీసుకుందాం మనము. 0 to 14 years లో ఒక 2,63,000 పాపులేషన్ ఉంది అనుకోండి. ఇంకా టోటల్ పాపులేషన్ 15 నుంచి 59 వరకు 35 lakhs ఉండొచ్చు అనుకోండి. సో 26 lakhs, 2 lakhs ఉందనుకోండి, 3,58,000 డివైడ్ చేసుకుని into 100 మనకు అక్కడ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో తెలిసిపోతుంది. యంగ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో. ఓల్డ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ఫైండ్ అవుట్ చేయాలంటే మేల్స్ ఓల్డ్ పీపుల్ 60+ ఎంత మంది ఉన్నారు డివైడెడ్ బై టోటల్ పాపులేషన్ 15 to 59 తీసుకుంటూ into 100 చేస్తే అప్పుడు మనకి ఎంత పర్సెంటేజ్ ఉంది తెలిసిపోతుంది. టోటల్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో చూసుకోవాలంటే యంగ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో ప్లస్ యంగ్ ఓల్డ్ డిపెండెన్సీ రేషియో రెండు యాడ్ చేసి చెప్పాలి. ఓకే, సో ఇది మీరు ఇండియా కోసం కూడా మీరు ఇప్పుడు రీసెంట్ ఫిగర్స్ మీరు క్యాలిక్యులేట్ చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, సో ఐ స్టాప్ ఓవర్ హియర్. ఇంకేమైనా డౌట్స్ ఉంటే చెప్పండి. హలో హలో, so I'll stop here. Thank you so much. అమ్మా
కంటిన్యూస్ చేయండి మేడం.
ఆ?
కంటిన్యూస్ చేయండి.
చేయమంటారా? వద్దు కదా, టైం
కంటిన్యూస్ ద క్లాస్ మేడం.
కంటిన్యూ చేయమంటావా?
మేడం ఇంపార్టెంట్ క్వశ్చన్స్ మేడం.
ఇస్తాను మీకు, నేను నంబర్ ఇస్తాను నాది. నాకు ఒక్కసారి కాంటాక్ట్ చేయండి ఎవరన్నా, మీరు మళ్ళీ మీ గ్రూప్ లో పెట్టుకోండి, సరేనా? ఐ స్టాప్ హియర్. మెసేజ్ నంబర్
ఓకే మేడం.
నంబర్ పెడతాను ఇక్కడ.
నంబర్ చెప్పరా మేడం?
ఇంకో నంబర్ చెప్పండి. నంబర్
నంబర్ మేడం.
90 ఇక్కడ రాస్తున్నా 9030014766. వచ్చిందా? 9030014766. నాకు ఫోన్ చేయండి, నేను చెప్తా.
ఎప్పుడైనా ఫోన్ చేసా మేడం?
చేయండి, నో ప్రాబ్లం, సరేనా? నేను చెప్తాను కొన్ని క్వశ్చన్స్, సరేనా? లాస్ట్ లెసన్ కూడా ఒకటి మిగిలింది మనకు, అది కూడా ఇంపార్టెంట్ లెసన్ చెప్తాను. అది కూడా వీలైతే నేను పర్మిషన్ తీసుకొని మీకు చెప్పడానికి ట్రై చేస్తా, సరేనా?
మేడం ఇది ఇండస్ట్రియల్ సోషియాలజీ, అది కూడా
అది ఇండస్ట్రియల్ సోషియాలజీ గురించి నాకు ఏం చెప్పలేరు. తీసుకోమంటే తీసుకుంటా. క్లాస్ కూడా జరగట్లేదా క్లాస్ మీకు? నేను కొంచెం అడుగుతా సార్ని, అడిగి మీకు నేను చెప్తాను, సరేనా? ఓకేనా?
ఓకే మ్యామ్.
యా నాన్న, బాయ్, ఆల్ ది బెస్ట్, టేక్ కేర్.
బాయ్ మ్యామ్. థ్యాంక్ యూ మ్యామ్.
థ్యాంక్ యూ.
Thank you.